Hey, this is your Made Free Life podcast with your host, Shawn, where we have weekly conversations about faith, freedom, and adventure. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 3 of the Made Free Life podcast. And this week, I'm really excited. I am actually at a different place, a different set. You can see I'm in one of my favorite places here in North Georgia where I hunt. And I have a really good friend of mine I'm super excited about, Brian Wright, with me today. What's up, Brian? And I thought there couldn't be a better person that's more fitting for today's topic on the program. And we've been talking about, I stole this, Brian, from the Trump campaign, but this idea about make men great again. And I think with the days and the times we're living, we need men to stand up and take their rightful place in their homes, in this country. And so what does it mean to be a man, you know? And that's what we've been kind of talking about, the tension of that. But last week I talked primarily from this idea of what it means to be a protector. And one thing about you, I know that you're going to protect yours and everything that belongs to you. But when I started thinking about you on the program, and it just so happened I was here hunting at the same time, I was thinking about what it means to be a provider. And when I mean provider, I believe God in the garden has given men two alienated rights to protect and provide. We see that from Genesis. And so I couldn't think of a better subject to talk about with you and providing when we think about the subject, because we both enjoyed a hunt. And we've been on a hunt here the last 4 days, and we've been hunting hard, hadn't we?
Every day. Morning.
I've been wearing your ass out, hadn't I?
Yeah, I'll be glad when y'all go home, son.
You'll be glad when I'm gone. Hey,
don't you come back, but
you say you just need a little break before I come back?
I could use one. I got another crew coming.
Okay, I know. You getting us out and getting ready for them. How is that? It's a lot of work, isn't it? Hosting people.
But I'm blessed
to be able to
be outdoors.
Yeah.
Time to get with God.
Yeah.
You
love what you do. That's one of the things I love about you, Brian, and I love about that you're so passionate. And golly, if there's anybody that's taught me more about deer hunting over the last 7-8 years, it's you. You've taught me a lot. And I learned a hard lesson yesterday, didn't I?
I was just sitting there thinking about that.
Go ahead. Tell our viewers and listeners about what you set me down and what happened.
Well, you got on some deer. You're a hunter, but a different style of hunting.
What was so different about what you put me in normally?
Just kind of right out in their living room.
You said, Shawn, I'm going to get you right out there with them, and you did.
They wouldn't come to us.
They wouldn't come to us, so you put me out there, and that's your style of hunting, really.
Yeah, that's the way
you like getting out there with them.
True.
But you have to be really disciplined to get out there, because you can do anything, little minor thing, like on your phone. You always are on me about, stay off your phone, get ready, look ready. And I have a problem with that. I think we all struggle with having our phones out and all those things. And so I think in a day and time where everything's distracting and pulling our attention, one of the things I loved about yesterday was it really made me have to be on point, patient, and focused.
How about the rush?
The rush, golly. So just to tell y'all the story, Brian sat me down in the most perfect location, and I was waiting for this deer to show, and when I did, I had my gun up, I was looking, I seen him in the sights, and he was walking at me, and it was so intense because I have never had that encounter from the ground, sitting under a tree, out in the elements. Like, I've been in a stand, I've been in a condo, I've been in a blind, but there's something but it gives us this idea that we're protected, that he's not really on us. But when you see one in full rut coming at you the way he was, buddy, my heart was, and I've killed a lot of deer, but that particular, I don't know what it was, but it felt, I think the pressure of us hunting for days and being like, I got to get one before I go, got in my head. I definitely got in my head, but you call that buck fever?
Well, I call it hunting. That's what it's about.
You did say that too.
People call it buck fever. I call it what comes on you. That's why you keep going back.
I love that you said that to me yesterday. You put it in perspective. You said, Shawn, that's what means you're a hunter, because it messed you up and you got this passion for it. And I do. I love it. I love doing it mostly with friends that I love, like you, Kevin, who's behind our cameraman right now that nobody can see. Kevin and I'm going to tell on Kevin because nobody's
I
going
cut
to
some
pick.
shirt tails
Hey,
this week.
nobody's going to just pick on me. I'm going to tell you that right now. So I'm going to put it out there. Kevin Wright shot a deer in the toe, and it, and it limped off, and we were not able to find it. We saw a little piece of its pinky toe somewhere. I know Kevin took a shot. I won't tell all his story, but we couldn't trail the deer.
We tried.
He was really down in the dumps. I was trying to encourage him, and then the next day I missed the biggest deer of my life. Kevin has trying to encourage me, but isn't that hunting?
That's it.
I mean, isn't that what we do? And
Let's tell on myself. 6 weeks ago, 16 steps with a cross gun.
Yep, and missed it.
Well, I didn't miss him. I waited, turned, gave it all that time, and then I kind of forgot it was so close. I shot high, and I should have brought that in perspective and aimed a little lower.
We got a counter for all that.
Shoulder come back, and he run off with that much of my crossbow, but he's back on camera.
That's awesome. He is. So he'll live to be hunted another day.
That's right.
What is it that, Brian, when I think about you and I think about what you do here in North Georgia, you remind me of the last kind of frontiersman in a world where everything's ready at a grocery store. And like when I come to your place, it's almost like I go back in time. And I mean that in a very cool way because you do a lot of things that are very primitive. Like you, where we don't see a lot of things like that. There's pockets of America and people still do it. I'm not saying you're a dinosaur, but I'm saying it's just where, you don't see a lot of people that are canning, putting up food, harvesting deer. Tell me a little bit about your new adventure. You've got a taxidermy business that you just started.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, and you've done.
I need to work on the ears, but I know what to do. This one
and I imagine it's pretty hard to try to cape one of them out. And
the caping part's what's troubled me. But these guys that have been taxidermists, they, it's just something I need to do.
But what a joy and a reward when you take an animal that you've harvested, a beautiful animal that I believe God has put on the earth. Genesis says that he put man in the garden and he said, subdue. And that means that we could control and rule over it. Subdue means to rule over the earth. And part of that, he said, I've given you the fowls of the air and the fish of the sea and everything that creepeth on the ground. So I like to think that deer, they're creeping. The one that was creeping on me yesterday,
up on you.
They're creeping up on you for sure. But he's given us dominion, that word dominion over all that. And so I love that you take that serious, that you're still living in that realm of like, God's put this on the earth for me. Is that right? I mean, don't you feel that way? Yeah. Like he's put the critters out there and the fish in the pond.
He takes care of the fowl there, and he'll take care of the
right. But we got to work it. He says, work the ground. He told Adam to work it. Yeah, he told Adam to work it and till it. And so you do a lot of things here. You chop wood. I noticed you tan hides. I got here. You had a coyote and you was skinning it. And I said, what are you doing with that? And you said, well, I hide and go for, somebody will want to hide. And I thought, wow, that's cool. From my perspective, I'm a roofing contractor, and so I'm thinking about my next roof. You're thinking about your next hide, but it's really cool because it's coming from the earth, and this is what it means to be a provider. Is that we, no matter if it's in roofing, no matter if you're doing guided hunts, as men, God has put this alienated right in us to be providers, and I think it's really cool when I find somebody who's providing in a way that's wild, it's frontier, because I'm from the persuasion that God never called men to sit in cubicles and sit behind screens. Nothing against that. I'm not men out there. I'm not putting you down. I'm just saying there's something about a man's heart that needs to be wild and free. And I think that's
what callous.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so addictive about North Georgia when I come is I get away from the hustle and the bustle. I get up on that mountain. I get along with God. I get along with my thoughts. I get with some really good friends, and something magical happens. Even if I don't kill a deer and I miss the biggest buck of my life, that I've known I've been on that mountain. It's like you've been on the mountain with God. The deer is just a bonus. Kevin said, man, are you upset? Are you okay, Shawn? I said, yeah, I'm okay, because I can't relegate what God did in these last 4 days to a deer being missed or not, because it's much bigger than that. And, God did give me an opportunity. And what he did show me is that, Shawn, you still need to work on patience. Because I believe I rushed that shot. Even though I know I was shaking a little bit, I believe that if I would have let that deer get a little closer, my chances of hitting him would have been a lot better.
Well, I've done the same.
So, it's a learning lesson. I go home with a life lesson of, hey, man, Shawn, you're still rushing things. It's like the Holy Spirit said, you're still rushing things. You need to slow down. And, and so, even last night when we went to that one spot, as good as you put me in, I had a little bit of a nagging feeling about the blind, and I was toying and I was kind of leaning on you. And I felt like God was saying, you were telling me, you pick. God was speaking through you, you pick. But I wanted to be passive in that. And so I missed the buck up on the hill to go sit down in there. But that's hunting. And it's life. Sometimes we miss it. And so what is it that let me ask you this. When did you start deer hunting, Brian?
Sheep.
Like your first deer. You remember it? I know you did.
Yeah,
it's like your first kiss.
10 years old.
That's about the same time Kevin killed his first one, ain't it?
9 or 10.
What'd you kill your first deer with?
30-30.
30-30. Was it here in Georgia, Tennessee?
Giles County, Pulaski, Tennessee.
I mean, dang. Did somebody set you under a tree and leave you?
Yeah, quite a few times. The first year I had to carry a gun unloading, though. I sit out there freezing with an unloaded gun, seeing deer, even squirrel hunting.
So that's why you tormented your brother with that same thing.
I tried to, it helped me, so carry it. You got to learn how to carry it before you put a bullet in.
I actually didn't know that about y'all. I didn't know that was something you did with Kevin, but I thought it was really cool after I processed it, because there is an immense responsibility with, firearms and hunting. And I think at a boy's age like that, I got a 10-year-old son too, and no way, I don't think he'd be ready for me to set him down with a rifle. And this year, just at his level, so I would definitely want to set Brant down with an unloaded gun at this season of his life, and make sure that he toted that properly and did what he was supposed to do before I actually loaded it and let him take a chance at shooting a deer. So I like that. I think it's something that more men need to do, as we're talking about what it means to be a great man or make men great again. I think one of the things this culture and day we're not leaving, a legacy. And I think this morning we were over coffee, I said this: I've been through a lot in my life. I've made it through some major things that would have taken most people out hadn't it been the grace of God and his goodness in my life. But one of the things I want to do as a middle-aged man, and as I'm looking towards that finish line, is I want to leave a legacy, Brian. And I think that's what I'm hearing. It's like things that were passed on to you, you passed on to Kevin. Kevin hopefully will pass some of those things, or has passed some of those things on, things he's learned from you. Whenever Kevin talks about deer hunting and he's telling me something because he's so passionate too, he always says, my brother told me this. My brother. Everything's prefaced with what Brian Wright has taught him. And I think it's awesome, because what it shows is legacy. What it shows is that you've taken the time to pass those things down to Kevin. And I think that's what makes men great again, is that we take the time to pass down things that have impacted our lives, marked us in a way, like hunting. That God has given us a passion for this thing, to run around and chase these deer in the woods. But there's so much more to it than just the action of it. There's a legacy that's being passed down, because, how many know if Walmart and Publix and Winn-Dixie shut down, a lot of people are going to be in trouble.
That's when it's all going to start.
It's when it's going to get ugly. But one thing about you're going to make it. We all would make it, but I'm saying you specifically.
There's some going to struggle, though.
Because you have proven that you can get it from the earth. You can provide from just what God's given you. I'm not saying you don't utilize. I'm not painting you as a caveman or somebody that spent out 300 years behind times in the mountains of Alaska. But I am saying you do carry some of the knowledge and the traits of somebody that's a survivor that can make it. And I think
I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very admirable, and I think it's something that I really I think it's noble, and I think it's something that more men and that's what I love about Made Free, is that I have a passion to bring men out of the office cubicles, out of their day jobs, out of their desk jobs, the mundane and get them in an environment where it's frontier, whether it's on my boat, we're fishing, we're up here in the mountain, wherever. And I think God can do a lot with a man when he's removed from his element. He's in the unknown. He's in what we call the wild frontier, whether that's on the ocean, whether that's in a creek, whether that's in the mountain, hunting a field. And God can begin to deal with man in the way that he always has. And so that's what I love about, I think some of the best God time that I've ever had is when I'm coming up here, or I'm on my surfboard and I'm in the ocean waiting on a set, or, I'm in my boat and I'm flipping jigs and thinking about, God, you created all this for me. Do you think like that a lot too? When you go out there and sit and you're like thinking about God, Daddy God gave that all to us. So I think about that. It is. It's a very humbling thing to think the vastness of this world and all that's in it. Like he had us in mind. That's really cool that he had Ryan in mind, Kevin in mind, me in mind, and many other men when he said, I'm giving you dominion over the earth. He said, subdue it, means do what you want with the fish, do what you want. And now there's a responsibility. I want to get into that before we end today, because with that comes great responsibility. And one of the things I love about you, Brian, you definitely care about the animals, the harvesting, the process. You're not somebody that just cares about killing. You want to make sure that you ensure that the herds and the deer that you manage are healthy. One of the things you about have is a no-doe policy, no doe hose.
Well, they got a hard enough time with the coyotes eating.
Yeah.
They're falling, so
yeah.
Unless you got a bunch of does, and that's great.
Yeah, you got
from where I got, small tracts of private. But
right.
My main places are public, and the does are, I'm not going to shoot any does in my little spots because just not enough. Not enough
to keep it populated. One of the things I learned about Florida, I don't know if you knew this, but in the I want to say, and I may have my fact check me, I may be wrong about this, but I think in early 1900s, there was only 1 million deer in America because men and families harvested venison. That was part of everybody's diet. And so, it was part of it. Now in the mass production of beef, which there was cows then, but in the mass production world of chickens and beef and all the things, heck, they're raising fish. Yeah, processed. And through management, quality management, where, Game War, the Freshwater Commission and everybody's gotten together to preserve the deer population. I read in 1960, there was over 1 million deer in Florida alone. So going from 1 million deer in the United States, America, to one state having that amount of deer shows that conservation and regulation and those things, and you do that.
And people shopping at the grocery store.
That's going to help. So the more people for you out there that shop at grocery stores, you're helping us out being able to harvest deer. But Brian, as we kind of conclude today, I want to just ask you, what do you see when I think about, well, let me just say it this way, about what it means to be a man in the earth today, and like really living that out. What are some of the things let me ask you this. When you look at another man and you decide whether you think he's a good man, respectable, whatever, honorable, what comes to mind when you think about, this idea, what's making men great again? What's a great man?
You're putting it hard on me, son.
Yeah, I know. Well, I figured we'd end it with a hard one.
Being a good man, I think that's something I ain't always been.
Well, I think we all miss it.
Shoot, there's a lot that comes to that.
Yeah.
It ain't just about working, bringing home a dollar.
That's true.
Upholding what a man should be.
Right. Yeah.
Good father, husband, employee.
Yeah.
It's a big full circle,
It is. Somebody that keeps his word, integrity.
Yeah, and and I've had my struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have. Me too. I've had it too. And I think
being sober for me.
Yeah. Hey, and that's great, because that's that's a real struggle. Addiction, obviously,
Yeah.
I've struggled 20-something years with addiction, and I personally know the battle of that, hating the thing that you do, but finding yourself doing it. You know, it's like Paul said, I the thing I don't want to do, I inevitably do, and the thing that I want to do, I don't do. Oh, miserable me. You know, I think he's there talking about addiction. And addiction, when I say addiction, it doesn't necessarily mean substance abuse or alcohol. You could be addicted to your phone. I think we all struggle with that. And hunting can become unhealthy.
Yeah.
A good thing out of balance can become unhealthy. And that's
Especially with the wife.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Mama ain't happy. Nobody's happy. So we gotta make sure that we balance our passion of hunting and things. But yes, I think that's what I love about you, Brian. The difference between you and why I call you a great man and why I wanted you to be on my program today was this. Even though the areas you miss it, you know in your heart, and there's a desire to do better. Don't mean we hit the mark all the time. Don't mean we don't fail. Don't mean we don't blow it. Don't mean we don't come short of that goal. But this is what I know about my good friend and brother, Brian Wright, that you know you're acutely aware of your condition. And me and you've had long, heartfelt talks where we've shared things that we don't share with other people. And you've confided in me and I've confided in you. And that's what makes us have a great relationship. We've built trust. Because Kevin told me years ago, Brian don't let nobody come up here before you really started guiding and stuff. And it was an honor for Kevin to tell me, you know, hey, Brian said you'd come and stay, because it took some years. I've been coming up here now almost 7 years and almost a decade now. And, you know, we always knew each other. But I think that camaraderie and those early morning coffees and jokes and laughing and we've had some times. And picking on Kevin, because we both equally like to do that. That's this passion that we have. Enjoy it. Comes easily. It gives us lots and lots of, you know, material for us to do. And so, but Brian, I just want to tell you this. I believe that when I think of a great man, regardless of you thinking that about you, I think you're a great man. And now when I say that, I don't mean a perfect man. I don't mean that you don't have areas of growth, and I don't either. But when I overall think about legacy, about, you know, what it means to protect and to provide, I think about Brian Wright, and I think what you're doing here is really cool. It's impacted my life in a way that I've been changed by this experience coming. I look forward to this every year.
Me too.
I set aside time and resources to get here and be here for a few days. You know, your wife, Denise, is a blessing. She cooks for all of us. Shout out to Denise. She's been a blessing. She always is the best hospitable, or is that even a word? Hospitality. She's always rolling out the red carpet for me. And it always feels like home. It always feels like family. And so it's just been an awesome experience, man, to be here with you. And thank you, because what people don't know about Brian is this is a miracle happening right here. Having him on camera, talking publicly. There's a story about one of my great theologians. I'll end with this. Eugene Peterson, he wrote a Bible translation, a new translation called the Message Translation. And God, I believe, used Eugene Peterson in a significant way with this Bible translation. But one of the things they said you won't hardly ever find is interviews. And he didn't even have a TV in his cabin. He died in Montana in his late years with his wife. They didn't even have a TV in their cabin. He believed that big churches, mega churches, didn't have the Spirit of God in it. He was just very old-fashioned, if we could call it that, lived off a lot of the earth, didn't have a lot of technology, and barely ever had interviews like this. So today I want to say thank you. It's a huge honor for you to come on the Made Free Life podcast, share a little bit of your life and impart a little bit of your experience. You have impacted my life in many ways. Continue to do it. And I just look forward to next year. And also with that, maybe being a little more calmer, a little more patient.
Later on this year.
Maybe a little long this year, but Brian, it's been awesome. Thank you again. God bless you. And I pray that you don't kill the big deer that I missed while I'm gone. I mean, is that wrong that I pray like that?
No, I'll save him. I got something else and move on. Now,
God bless you, man.
God bless you, Shawn.
Thank you. Thank you.